about the foot, and we'll talk about pronation and all of the things. There's a lot of things that pronation is given a bad rap, and I want to clear some of that up. So I'm going to wait just a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about the foot. Okay. All right, I'm back. Apparently I don't have very good connection over there where I was. So I'm going to move over here and do it from here. Okay, and I'm going to see, I got my comments available. Okay. Let me do one more thing, hang on. Okay. All right, well, those of you that come on, and then feel free to ask me questions. If you come on later, watch the replay. That's totally awesome too. Feel free to ask questions there too. I would love for you to tell me that you've seen the replay, like the video, love the video. Let me know what you're thinking, what questions come up. I really want to be an interactive type of scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So many of you have heard the word pronation, right? Many of you have probably been told that you might be an overpronator, right? And so then it becomes this negative connotation, right? Like, oh my gosh, you're an overpronator, right? And with all costs, we've got to stop your feet from pronating, right? All right, here's some of my people. So you guys didn't miss anything. I got cut off, and I'm now back. So you didn't miss anything. So when you think about pronation, if any of you now, what you did miss is I would love for you guys to ask questions and like the video and let me know if you have anything to say, okay? Bring my camera in now. All right, hang on, I'm just getting situated. Here, I just want to be sure that I can see your comments as they come on. So anyway, have any of you been told that you pronate too much, that you overpronate, thanks, got a like, I love seeing that. Most of the times you've been told that that's something that you want to avoid, right? Like you've got to find a shoe that prevents pronation. Pronation is causing all these problems, okay? So I want to understand what pronation really is and how, hello, Miss Janice. How important it actually is. Pronation really is something that we need to have. It's about getting pronation at the right spot, okay? So just to be clear, I want to show you what pronation looks like, just to be sure we're all on the same page, or what pronation usually looks like. So these are 2 feet, okay? Obviously, so right and a left. So this left foot here it's almost like you're rolling your ankle, right? Like an ankle sprain. That's called supination. The other side here, if you were to be walking on the inside of your heel and the inside of your foot, making more of that type of an angle, that's called pronation. And that is what I'm talking about today for the most part. May bring in some supination there as well. But that's the way supination and pronation, if you look at that, do you see how they're showing the heel is moving and the foot is moving all together as if it is one fused group of bones? Okay, your feet really look like this up top here. Okay, you see how there are lots and lots of bones, lots and lots of joints. Okay, so really it's not one fused block that if you turn on the inside of your foot or pronate, or the opposite is turn on the outside, right? Really there should be some twisting. Maybe the heel is doing one thing and the midfoot is doing another. And that is really where we need to talk about pronation, because when it's evaluated and when you go to a shoe store or you go to a podiatrist, maybe when you go to your physical therapist, they see you on the inside of your feet and they'll say, oh, you overpronate. So let's try to get you on the outside of your feet. Let's try to prevent you from getting onto the inside of your feet. Is that something that anybody has ever been told? Let me know. Okay, so what you might have been told, so let's take a look at these pictures. Okay, take a look at these pictures here. So we have I'm just trying to think of what order I want to put these in. All right, so here are somebody's feet, okay? And if you see this gentleman in standing, okay, you see how you might tell him, wow, one of those feet pronates. Actually, they both kind of pronate, right? Okay, if you look at the front, I see his left one, which is, I gotta get all oriented. His left one, which is actually this one, looks to be a little bit more pronated, okay? But that somebody may go, oh my gosh, we need to keep you from falling into the inside of your feet. That's your problem, and that's what they look like when they're standing, okay? What he looks like when he's on his stomach, and you take away gravity and you take away weight bearing, okay? This is really what his heels look like, okay? And this is that left one. See how he actually is turning into that supinated position, right? His heels are actually turning, he's actually on his heels are kind of turned out if you take gravity away, okay? But when he stands up, he looks like he's standing on the inside of his feet, okay? Here's another example here. The lady on the top and standing. Look at her feet when we take gravity away. Okay, so it's not as simple as what do your feet look like when you're standing. Okay, there's the reason why. So if you look back at this, if we were to stand and everything was fused and we stand on the outside of our foot and our entire foot would go with it, right? That person here, they're going to want to try to get that foot onto the ground, the inside of their foot onto the ground. They are likely not going to walk on the outside of their feet. Their big toe wants to touch the ground. Their arch wants to feel the ground. So what is generally happening in somebody who pronates is really their heels are stuck in that turned in the opposite position. Okay, their feet are stuck. Their heels are stuck like that. Okay, or if they were to stand up and not try to fix that, they'd be standing on the outside of their foot like this, right? But when you stand them up, they look like they have flat feet. Okay, so what we need to do when we walk is what should happen is that heel strikes, we land on the outside of that heel, and then that middle part of our foot turns in the opposite way so we can get on the inside of our foot, okay, inside of our toe before we push off. Most people when they stand up and they look like this or other versions of a flat feet, 9 times out of 10, more than 9 times out of 10, you lay them on their stomach and their heels are going the opposite way. So if somebody puts you in a shoe, your heels really look like this, and somebody puts you on a shoe to keep you on the outside of your foot, don't you think that's going to make you have to work even harder to get your inside step on the floor? It is going to make your need to pronate the rest of your foot, the middle of your foot where your arch is. Okay, so pronation, really, we need to start, when somebody has a flat foot, it's because they are not able to start pronation at the heel. They're stuck in that supinated ankle sprain position. Their heel is, okay? When they go to land on the ground, what we see is what the rest of their foot is doing in response to that. The problem is when we try to avoid getting on the inside of our feet, we end up making that demand to stretch that arch, flatten that foot even greater. Or we don't even get that far. You have somebody with a rigid foot like I have, okay? I'm not really getting fully onto the inside of my feet all the time, right? So there are 2 compensations for that. But the problem with 95% of the population, I'll say, okay, when we get off the ground and we lay on our bellies and you look at without gravity, those heels are all turned out, regardless of what you look like when you stand up. Okay, so what you look like, that difference between what you look like when you're on your belly and when you look like when you stand up, helps us determine what type of midfoot support you might need. Okay, so what I'm trying to educate you guys on is the fact that somebody tells you you pronate, they're looking at you standing, and you've been told that you pronate, and they're trying to get you in a shoe that turns you on the outside of your foot. I'd be a little bit hesitant about that, okay? You really want to know what you look like when gravity is not acting on your foot, okay? So another super interesting thing about the feet and pronation, okay? Remember, pronation is required for us to shift from one leg, our weight, all the way over to the other, okay? So if you don't start pronation at your heel, if you're staying on the outside and you never get on the inside of that heel, that's what stimulates up the chain, okay? And so when you're stuck there, your body is locked in on that side. So you will have a hard time with shifting your weight over to that other leg without compensating somewhere. It has to start at that heel. So pronation really is a necessary and important thing, okay? So it needs to start at the heel. A lot of times I will help somebody build up the outside of their heel to help turn them onto that heel so they can start pronation at their heel and the rest of the foot doesn't have to compensate and overdo that. And it also allows them to be able to up the chain, send the stimulus, and put them in a better position so that their muscles the muscles that need to relax can relax and they can shift over onto their other leg. Okay, so pronation is super important. It's given a bad rap. It's looked at not quite the right way. Okay, so if you look at your shoes and you're wearing that outside at the heel really strongly, okay, regardless of what's going on at the toe, look at that outside heel. Okay, if you look at the back of your shoes and they've got you, they're slanted in a way that makes you stay on the outside of your heels, might be too much. It might be too much. So those are just, what I wanted to present to you guys. Does anybody have any questions so far on that? You guys, either I'm not seeing comments or you guys are just being shy. But sometimes I don't see comments, so it could be that. And I'll see them later if that's true. One other fun thing about the foot, okay? Why do we need to get onto the inside arch of our foot? It is super, super important that our foot, okay, feels surface underneath it. All right, so when we were originally created, when mankind was first created, we were walking barefoot on soft surfaces, dirt surfaces, sand surfaces, okay? That's the way our foot was designed. It was designed to be comforted and filled in with a soft, malleable, but yet firm surface underneath it to fill the shape of our foot, that arched foot. Now we walk around on a hard, solid surface, okay? So a shoe is important to fill that space for us, to provide that what dirt and sand used to do for us. Okay, so you do want to make sure that you can feel that arch on the inside of your foot. But it really should it should start at the heel, and then you should be able to feel your arch. So that's another quality to look in a shoe. This is a really cool thing. I want to show you this, and then should be about done. If I can find it. Okay. These are the different nerves, the different sensation. Each one of these colors represents another nerve, okay? It's a sensory nerve, which means touch only. They don't activate muscles. They're simply there for touch, okay? Each nerve needs to have, each part of your foot needs to have sensation at certain parts of the gait cycle, okay? If you are continually staying on the outside of this heel, we are missing the contact here. Okay, there's certain sensory nerves here that actually, this sensory nerve of the arch, that same nerve way up in the hip is on the outside of your leg. Okay, the same muscles that are on the outside of your leg. This one here, this nerve that's on, this is the inside of your heel. This is where I try to get you to start pronation so you can feel this part of your heel. If we're only staying on the outside of the heel, we're missing this. This part of this same nerve is a nerve on this, is the same nerve that had sensation to the outside glute, okay? So that's just an example of, depending on where you're putting your sensation, where you are getting sensation, where you are bearing weight with each phase of the gait cycle as you walk, they all have an ability to stimulate the muscles up above the chain. And if we're not getting the right sensation at the right form of gait, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have to try to find another way to pseudo shift our weight from one leg to the other. So this is why it's important that we have pronation, which would start here and allow us to access this arch without collapsing. And we will still need a little extra filling underneath that arch, okay? So what should proper shoe wear look like? Okay, so it should look, let me see if I have, so the outside of the heel should have, with time, as it should not be happening really soon, everything should sort of happen in proportion, okay? So you should have some outer, we do want to strike the outside heel first. The thing is, we can't stay there. We have to get a little bit, we need to start to turn into the inside of our foot before we get to the arch. We need to start that at the heel. So you'll have more wear on the outer heel, but you should also be getting some on that medial heel, the inside heel, right where the arch starts. And then you should have some at your big toe. You should have some wear at your big toe, but not at the tip of that big toe. You know, like, let me see if I can pull my shoe off. Okay, so not so much here on the big toe. It should be more like here on the big toe. Okay, and then on the outer heel, we'll start to wear here, but you should be getting sort of a more even wearing, if any wearing, up at this area. Okay, so it shouldn't be heavy here, and it shouldn't be too much. See, I'm getting a little bit, staying on the outer heel a little too much. I don't, these are not necessarily the best. I would not run in these, okay? But they're all right. I've got orthotics in them. But see, I would want to see myself get the absence of wear. More so than wear here, I would want to see an absence of wear when I get about here. It's really just this outer heel. And then we need to be able to transition, get nice contact here, and push off up here, not at the edge of the toe. Does that help, Dad? Oh gosh, the school's calling. Anybody, any locals want to tell me what message I'm getting from the school right now? The school's calling me. So anyway, yes, Dad, that helps. Okay. Yeah, so any other questions you guys might think of in the long run, but the basic understanding that I wanted to get out is the fact that pronation is not an all or none thing. It's not that you're on the outside of your heel or you're on the inside of your heel, your foot, the whole foot, right? There should be a play. There's a nice twisting going on from the heel to the middle foot. Remember, all of those bones. This is a great picture of what this area should twist. When we stand, this is what happens when we don't stand. When we stand, okay, that blue should be going the opposite direction of that pink. But these kind of move together, these kind of move together, and these move together, and they should move kind of independently. There's this independent of all those segments, okay? And so when you look flat-footed, when you stand in front of somebody, the solution is to not just get on the outside of your foot, okay? The solution is maybe to help you get on the inside of your heel so you don't have to do all of that reaching and flattening to the ground to get that arch cushion, that arch support. Okay, and you also want to be careful of a rigid arch support because that's going to keep you also on the outside. If you need an arch support, think about filling it with like what dirt and sand would do, right? I have lots of soft, I can give you that reference of where you can find a soft arch cushion to essentially bring that springy, little bit of a giving contact on that arch. So you're not being pulled on the outside too much correction at the midfoot. Okay, so we got to make sure we get on the inside heel. That is likely, let me show you, just in case you're having a hard time believing me. You can see right and left. Okay, this is all reversed. So this is right, this is left. Okay, do you see, first of all, the amount of people that turn in? This person right here, I can tell you with 100% certainty, okay, super flat feet when he stands up. Pronation, totally pronated his whole life until a couple of us started looking at him differently, okay? Those feet are way turned the other way, right? And I also want you to see the pattern. Right side tends to be more than the left. Right side tends to be more than the left. That's also a pattern, okay? These are people that came to me and said, I pronate, okay? So just want you to rethink that. Pronation is an amazing necessity for weight shifting and gait. It needs to start at the heel, so we're not overcompensating at our midfoot, okay? Resist the temptation, resist the advice to stay up, to get a shoe that holds you on the outside of your foot. Okay? Much better. Okay. All right. So give me your questions later. Those of you that are watching the replay, just let me know you saw the replay. Send me some likes. Send me some loves. Share it with friends. Whatever you want to do. Okay? Help me get the word out. Pronation is not the enemy. Okay? It's a much more complex thing than that. And just be cautious when you're been put on the outside of your feet. Okay, we can talk about barefoot too, and and if anybody's interested in that subject, it's a little bit more. It's a lot to do with that sensation, filling that arch. Okay, but really just wanted to focus on the whole pronation topic today. All right, everybody have a lovely day. Let me know if anybody's interested in that resource of where to find a nice arch cushion to provide you not rigid support, but touch to your arch. And it also helps bring the ground to it a little bit, so you don't have to, if you feel like you do kind of, that arch rolls a little bit, flattens a little bit, okay, you've got to feel like your arch has to feel hugged. You're welcome, Dad. Your arch has to feel hugged. It needs to feel contact, and that arch cushion will help without forcing you on the outside of your foot. All right. Okay, Miss Ginger, you just popped in at the end. Let me know when you watch the replay and if you have any questions. All right, everybody have an amazing day. Bye.